A lot of I see also a lot of people saying that the veto power should be removed. That should be the only change. What do you think about that?
The fact of the matter is that this isn't just about the veto power. The fact of the matter is that the United States has violated the principles of the UN Charter time and time and time again for 75 years, for decade after decade after decade. And either that matters or it doesn't matter. Either the UN Charter matters or it doesn't matter. Either the rules matter or they don't matter. So at some point, you have to say that they do matter. At some point, you have to say that the United States shouldn't have impunity, and they shouldn't have immunity, and they shouldn't be able to just flout the rules. And the fact is that the rules do exist. Article 6 does exist, and it exists precisely for a state that is as abusive and as persistent in violation as the United States. So either you're going to take that seriously or not. And the power and the domination of the U.S. over the United Nations is tremendous, and it's insidious, and it is in every limb of the United Nations. And that is something that needs to be dealt with. And I've had people from the United Nations actually reach out to me, insiders who are working in different branches of the United Nations, who've reached out to me to thank me and to thank Middle Nation and to thank the Six Campaign for what they're doing, and hoping that we are successful. And they're very grateful for what we're doing, because they're seeing themselves how the United States has completely sabotaged and undermined the United Nations. And it's their belief, in fact, that the United States has a goal, a longer term goal, of actually undermining the United Nations to the point that it is disbanded on their terms. So if the United Nations is going to be saved, is going to be salvaged, is going to be rescued, and the actual international law and the principles of the United Nations are ever to be salvaged and implemented in this world today, in this world, in this time, in our lifetime, then it needs to be done soon, because the United States is undermining and sabotaging the United Nations to a great degree. And removal of the U.S. from the UN appears to me to be the only solution. And it is a solution, again, that is written into the Charter itself. So we're just asking for the Charter to be, for the United Nations to live up to the Charter and to activate what's there in the Charter, and to take its own rules and its own protocol seriously, and to activate them as is appropriate.
So I'm an American, and when I talk to other Americans about this, everyone agrees that the officials are corrupt at every level. You can't find an American who's not going to say that there's corruption, and that there should be reform. I think, though, if you can talk about what you think, what would be your response to specifically an American who says, well, now if we do that, if we go too far, then we put ourselves in a vulnerable position. We don't have a seat at the table. Yes, we've abused our seat. We've abused it, and we shouldn't have so much power, but we shouldn't be locked out of the room.
There's more than one issue there. There's one is that you are already expressing in that sort of an opinion. You're expressing part of the entire mentality that is causing this entire problem, which is that you should be able to do things without being punished. You should be able to violate the Charter without being punished. You signed it. You signed the Charter. You wrote the Charter, but you never thought that it was going to be invoked against you. But you wrote the Charter. You wrote Article 6 in there. You agreed to it, but then you don't want it to be applied to you, even though you're the most persistent violator of the UN Charter. So this comes down to whether you believe in the rule of law or not, or you only believe in the rule of law when it can be imposed against your enemies or your perceived enemies or your rivals on the global stage, but it can't be invoked or implemented against you. Either you believe in it or not. If you don't believe in the rule of law, then you just believe in the rule of America, and you should be honest with yourself about that. And if you can live with that, then you should also be happy anyway with not being a part of the United Nations, because the United Nations, the way the whole thing is supposed to be structured, is that it's supposed to be following a global consensus. And there's many people already in the United States who oppose American membership in the UN because they think that it violates their sovereignty and their right to act unilaterally in the world, which they're correct. It does. And it's supposed to. And that's what you signed up for, because you agreed that we're all supposed to live on this earth together and make decisions together. So if you are opposed to that, then you shouldn't really be opposed to the U.S. being removed from the UN, because anyway, you don't believe in multilateralism. Anyway, you don't believe in the rule of law, and you want to be actually renegade anyway. So if you're renegade anyway, then I don't see why you want to belong in an organization in the first place that expects you to act like a civilized country.